Just sign, Mom. It's routine. My daughter's voice was soft, almost sweet, but her hand gripped mine with surprising force as she shoved the pen into my right palm. Her husband, Jamal, leaned closer, his heavy arm pressing down on my left so hard I felt the blood drain from my fingers. I blinked at the long slip of paper on the desk. A cashier's check, $50,000. My name, in black ink at the top. The payee line blank, waiting for me to finish the trap. Something in my chest cracked. This wasn't routine. This was robbery, carried out by the two people I trusted most. My lips trembled, but I didn't speak. Instead, I looked at the cashier, a young black woman with almond-shaped eyes and braids tucked neatly under her bank cap. Her face was polite, calm, until I slowly curled my left fingers around a scrap of paper and slid it forward. Asterisk help. I'm being forced to sign the check. Asterisk. Her eyes widened like plates. A quick flick upward, then back down. She saw. The air grew hot around me. Jamal pressed harder, his breath sour with coffee and impatience. My daughter, Tasha, hissed, "Mama, don't make this difficult. Just sign so we can go." Click. A sharp sound echoed from under the counter. The cashier's hand moved discreetly, and suddenly the bank manager appeared, tall, broad-shouldered, his suit stretched tight across his chest. His gaze swept the scene, then locked on me. "Is everything all right here?" His voice was deep, calm but edged with authority. "Yes," Tasha snapped, plastering on a smile too quick to be real. "My mother's just old-fashioned about paperwork. She gets nervous." "Right, Mama." I looked at him. I made my lips form the word, silent but clear, "No." The manager's eyes hardened. His hand slid behind him, pressing something I couldn't see. And then the alarm screamed. The shrill sound bounced off marble floors, sharp enough to slice through my skull. Guards rushed forward, radios crackling, while customers twisted around, whispering, pointing, staring. Jamal leapt to his feet, rage twisting his face. "What the hell is this?" he barked. "You got no right." "Sir, step back," the manager ordered. "I ain't doing nothing wrong." Jamal shoved the chair back so hard it toppled. "This is our family business. She's just." "Hands where I can see them." A guard barked, weapon already unclipped from his belt. Tasha gasped, tears springing instantly to her eyes. "This is my mother. She's confused. Please don't hurt him, it's a mistake." She clutched my arm like I was some fragile doll, trying to spin the story in her favor. But the bank's eyes weren't on her anymore. They were on me. My body shook, but I forced the words out, loud enough for everyone to hear. "They're trying to steal from me. My daughter and her husband. They forced me here." The room went silent, like God pressed pause. Every whisper, every shuffle, every breath froze. Then the chaos erupted again. "Lies." Tasha screamed, her mask cracking, voice slicing like glass. "Mama, how could you say that? After everything I've done for you." "You shut your damn mouth." I snapped, years of swallowed pain spilling free. The guards closed in, pulling Jamal back by both arms as he cursed and twisted. Tasha lunged toward me, but the manager stepped between us, his bulk shielding me from her nails, her spit, her rage. I thought it was over. I thought I was safe. But I was wrong. Because as Jamal was dragged back, he shouted over the crowd, his eyes burning holes through me. "This ain't over, old woman. You think you ruined me? You just signed your death note." His voice carried through the bank like a curse. The guards hauled him out, Tasha screaming, fighting, promising to come back for me. The alarm blared, the customers gasped, the room spun. And all I could think was, asterisk my own daughter. My own blood. She sold me out. Asterisk. The police came fast. Questions, paperwork, statements. I sat in a little office behind the bank, sipping water from a paper cup as the manager sat beside me, his presence steady like a wall. "Do you want to press charges?" the officer asked, pen poised. I hesitated. My hands trembled on the cup. The thought of my daughter in jail tore at my chest, but the memory of her nails digging into me at the counter made my skin crawl. "Yes," I whispered. The word left my lips like fire, burning everything behind it. But pressing charges wasn't the end. It was the beginning. Because betrayal doesn't bleed out quietly. It fights back. It haunts. And my betrayal had a name, Tosha. That night, my phone buzzed until the battery nearly died. Unknown numbers. Threatening texts. Pictures of my house, my car, my job. The last message, from a blocked number, made my blood run cold. Asterisk, you took away my man. You took away my future. I'll take away yours. Asterisk. I stared at the screen until it blurred. I thought I knew pain. I thought I'd survived heartbreak when my husband cheated and left years ago. But this, my own daughter plotting against me, this was a new kind of wound. I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark, every creak of the house sounding like a footstep, every car passing by sounding like a threat. And in that silence, I made a vow. They thought I was weak, easy to use. But they forgot something. I had nothing left to lose. And a woman with nothing left is the most dangerous kind. The next morning, I went to work at the elementary school where I'd taught for 25 years. My colleagues noticed the bags under my eyes, the stiffness in my shoulders. You all right, Janice? Mrs. Carter asked gently, resting her hand on my arm. I forced a smile. Just tired. But in my mind, the plan was already forming. Because Jamal's threat at the bank wasn't empty. I knew him too well. A man who could charm Tosha into betraying her own mama wasn't going to back down. He was going to come for me, financially, legally, maybe even physically. So I had to strike first. I started with research. Property records, business filings, credit reports. Late nights on the computer, learning how their little empire worked. Jamal fancied himself an investor, always bragging about his side hustles, his rentals, his big money moves. But all of it was built on debt, lies, and other people's names. And some of those names? Mine. 1 week after the bank incident, I got the call. Ma'am, this is Detective Lawson from Atlanta PD. We have your daughter in custody. My heart dropped. What? For what? The line crackled. His voice was calm, but the words sliced deep. Conspiracy to commit fraud. Attempted coercion. And, we found evidence she and her husband have been opening credit cards in your name. The world tilted. I pressed the phone tighter to my ear, the room spinning, my breath stuck in my throat. Do you want to pursue this? Lawson asked. Do I? This was my daughter. My only child. My baby girl. But then I remembered her nails digging into my arm. Her eyes cold as she told me, just sign, Mom. I swallowed the lump in my throat. Yes, I said, voice trembling. I want to pursue it all. That night, as I locked my front door and double-checked the windows, my phone buzzed again. Another blocked message. This one was worse than all the others. It wasn't words this time. It was a picture. My car, parked in my driveway. A red X spray-painted across the windshield. And the caption beneath. We warned you. Next time it won't be the car. The morning after the spray-painted car, I stood at my kitchen window staring out at the red X smeared across my windshield. My stomach churned with dread. My neighbors walked past slowly, whispering, throwing me pitying glances. It was one thing to be betrayed in private. It was another to have your humiliation broadcast to the whole block. The phone rang again, slicing through the silence. I almost didn't answer, but fear made me snatch it up. Hello. Janice. Detective Lawson's voice was calm, but heavy. We've booked your daughter. She's in holding, waiting for arraignment. She keeps asking for you. I pressed my hand to my chest, my heart pounding like it was trying to break free. She said she won't talk unless you come. The words hit me like a weight. My baby girl, my betrayer, still calling on me, still expecting me to show up like the mother she once knew. For a moment, I imagined her behind bars, makeup smeared, tears streaking her face, the same little girl I'd rocked to sleep after nightmares. The same girl who used to slip into my bed when thunder scared her. But then another image replaced it. Her hand forcing mine against that check. Her voice cold, Just sign, Mom. I swallowed hard. I'll think about it, I whispered, and hung up before my resolve broke. At work, whispers followed me. The story had spread faster than wildfire. Someone had posted a blurry video from the bank, the moment Jamal shouted, "You just signed your death note." It was making rounds on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. People sent me screenshots. Local teacher betrayed by her daughter and son-in-law in attempted bank fraud. I wanted to disappear. But I couldn't. I had kids depending on me, a paycheck I needed. So I stood tall, forced a smile, and carried on. But inside, every step felt like walking on broken glass. That evening, the doorbell rang. I peeked through the peephole and froze. It was Jamal. He wasn't alone. Two men stood behind him, tall, broad, mean-looking. I stepped back, my breath caught in my throat. He rang again, harder this time. "Janice, open up. We need to talk." His voice thundered through the wood. I grabbed my phone, dialing 911 with shaking fingers. "Atlanta PD, what's your emergency?" Before I could speak, Jamal shouted again, loud enough the dispatcher could hear. "You think you can put my wife in jail and get away with it? You're gonna regret this, old woman." The banging started then, fists pounding the door so hard the frame rattled. "Sirens are on the way," the dispatcher assured me. When Jamal heard the faint wail in the distance, he spat on my door and stormed off with his men. But not before shouting, "This ain't finished. Blood or money, Janice? Your choice." When the police arrived, they took notes, nodded, promised to keep an eye on things. But I knew the truth, a restraining order was just paper. And paper doesn't stop fists. That night, I barely slept. I sat in the dark living room with a baseball bat in my lap, waiting for footsteps, for glass breaking, for the nightmare to crawl through my windows. But nothing came. Instead, what came was silence, and memories. I thought of Tasha's childhood, the years when it was just me and her after her father left. I'd worked 2 jobs, stretched every dollar, missed meals so she could eat. I remembered the nights she cried because the other kids had nicer clothes, better shoes. I remembered swearing I'd give her everything I never had. And maybe that was my mistake. I gave her so much that she forgot how to earn anything for herself. Jamal saw that weakness in her, and he used it. I closed my eyes and saw his smile. That smooth-talking grin that had charmed her at 21, made her believe he was her ticket out of struggle. But underneath the shine was rot. I'd seen it from the start. The lies. The schemes. The way he looked at me like I was just an obstacle between him and Tasha's trust fund. And now, he had her soul in his pocket. The next day, I went to the courthouse. I told myself I wasn't going for Tasha, I was going to protect myself. To see what she and Jamal had already set in motion. But when I walked into that holding room, and she looked up at me with red, swollen eyes, something inside me cracked. "Mama," she whispered. I wanted to turn away. I wanted to scream at her, curse her, walk right back out. But I sat down instead. "You tried to ruin me," I said softly, my voice shaking with rage and grief. She reached through the bars, her hands trembling. "I didn't know he'd go that far. Jamal said it was just paperwork. That we were securing a loan. I swear, Mama, I didn't. Don't lie to me." My voice was sharp enough to cut. "You pressed that pen in my hand. You knew exactly what you were doing." Tasha broke then. She sobbed, collapsing against the bars. "I was scared. He said if I didn't help, he'd leave me. He'd take the kids and disappear. I didn't know what else to do." The kids. My grandbabies. The thought of Jamal using them as pawns made bile rise in my throat. I closed my eyes. "You chose him over me." Her sobs grew louder. "I'm sorry, Mama. Please, don't let them keep me here. Please." The guard tapped his watch. Time was up. I stood, tears burning my eyes. I wanted to forgive her, pull her into my arms, shield her from the world like I always had. But the memory of that spray-painted ex was fresher than her tears. "I can't save you this time," I whispered, and walked away. Her screams followed me down the hallway. That night, I found an envelope on my porch. No stamp, no address. Just my name scrawled across the front. Inside was a single photograph. It was my grandson, Malik, at his school playground. Smiling, holding onto the swings. And written across the picture in red marker were 4 words. He's not safe either. The picture slipped from my trembling fingers and fluttered to the floor. My grandson's smile stared up at me, innocent, unaware of the threat scrawled across his little body in red ink. He's not safe either. My knees buckled. I sank into the nearest chair, clutching my chest. My breaths came shallow, ragged, like the walls themselves were pressing in on me. This wasn't just about me anymore. Jamal had crossed a line so deep it couldn't be erased. My blood ran cold at the thought of Malik, of his sister Kayla, tiny and bright-eyed, caught in the middle of their parents' mess. I whispered a prayer, then swore under my breath. Not my babies. You'll never touch them. But prayers weren't enough. Not against a man like Jamal. The next morning, I drove my spray-painted car to Malik's school. Parents whispered when they saw me in the lot, the red X still glaring across my windshield. I ignored them. My eyes scanned every corner, every shadow, searching for danger. When Malik spotted me at the gate, his smile lit up like sunshine. He ran into my arms, giggling. "Grandma, you came." I held him tight, maybe too tight. "Always, baby. Always." But behind that smile, fear gnawed at me. Because if Jamal had someone follow him once, they could do it again. I walked him to class, hugged him one more time, then pulled the teacher aside. "Please," I whispered, sliding her the photo I'd received. "If anyone besides me or his mama tries to pick him up, call the police." Her eyes widened. "Is he in danger?" "Yes." My voice cracked. "Serious danger." That evening, I sat at my dining table with a stack of papers. Property deeds, credit reports, old tax returns. I'd pulled every record I could find on Jamal. The man thought he was slick, hiding his scams behind shell companies and fake names, but he wasn't smarter than a mother with fire in her veins. I highlighted addresses, circled bank accounts, traced connections. Each discovery fueled me, each lie he'd built was another weapon I could use. For years I'd played the role of the quiet teacher, the reliable mother. But now I was something else, a woman building her arsenal. Because if Jamal wanted war, I wasn't walking in unarmed. It didn't take long for him to show his hand again. 3 nights later, I was coming home from the grocery store when I noticed a car idling at the corner of my street. Dark windows. No plates. My stomach dropped. I pulled into the driveway, kept my phone ready in my hand. I pretended not to notice as I carried the bags inside. But when I peeked through the blinds, the car was still there. Watching. Waiting. I dialed Detective Lawson. "They're watching me," I whispered. "He's not stopping." "I'll send a patrol car," Lawson promised. But his voice held the same tired resignation as last time. Paperwork. Reports. Empty promises. I couldn't rely on them. I'd have to protect myself. That night, I dug through my closet until I found it, a small box wrapped in cloth. My father's old revolver. Rusted, heavy, untouched for decades. I cleaned it, loaded it, set it on my nightstand. For the first time since the bank, I felt a flicker of control. But revenge isn't just bullets. It's patience. Strategy. Timing. So I waited. The first strike came when Jamal tried to post bail for Tasha. I had already slipped documents to Lawson, fake deeds, forged signatures, all under my name. Evidence tying Jamal to fraud big enough to make the judge's eyebrows shoot up. Bail denied. The look on Jamal's face in the courtroom, when the gavel came down, was worth every sleepless night. His jaw clenched, his fists balled, his eyes slicing toward me like knives. "You did this," he mouthed. I didn't flinch. But victories don't come free. That night, I woke to the sound of glass shattering. I shot upright, my heart slamming against my ribs. The alarm I'd installed last week shrieked. I grabbed the revolver, my hands slick with sweat, and crept toward the noise. The living room window was shattered. Shards glittered on the carpet. A brick lay in the middle of the floor, tied with a note. I picked it up, my breath shaking. You can't hide forever. Next time, we'll come inside. Behind me, a shadow moved. I spun, gun raised. And there he was. Jamal. Standing in my kitchen, the back door wide open, a grin stretched across his face. The revolver trembled in my hands, the weight of it dragging my wrists down. Get out of my house, Jamal, I said, my voice low but laced with fire. He leaned against the doorway like he owned the place, his grin wide, his eyes lit with madness. You gone soft, Janice. That little pea shooter in your hand? You don't got the guts to use it. The gun felt heavier. My palms slicked with sweat. He took a step closer, crunching glass under his boots. Put it down. You don't want to catch a charge at your age. Another step. I leveled the barrel at his chest. My heart hammered so loud I thought he could hear it. Try me. He lunged. The revolver thundered, the explosion rattling the walls. Jamal screamed, spinning back as blood splattered across the linoleum. He clutched his arm, crimson seeping through his shirt. You crazy bitch, he roared, stumbling into the counter. Dishes crashed to the floor. He winced, then laughed, a sound too sharp, too wild. You think this gonna stop me? I kept the gun steady, though my whole body shook. One more step, Jamal, and I swear I'll finish it. For a long, tense moment, we stood frozen, me with the gun, him bleeding and seething. Then the wail of sirens pierced the night. Jamal's grin twisted into a snarl. You called the cops? I don't have to, I snapped. You're leaving a blood trail straight to them. He spat on the floor, his eyes blazing. This ain't over, old woman. You started something you can't finish. And with that, he bolted through the back door, disappearing into the night. I sank to the floor, the revolver slipping from my hands, my chest heaving with sobs. The police came fast, blue lights flooding the yard. Officers fanned out, flashlights cutting across my grass, radios buzzing. Detective Lawson was the first inside. His eyes scanned the shattered window, the blood smears on the counter, the revolver lying near my shaking hands. What happened? He asked, voice even but urgent. He broke in, I whispered. My throat was raw. He came at me. I shot him. Lawson crouched, his gaze steady. You hit him. In the arm. He nodded slowly, like he'd expected as much. Self-defense. But this is going to get ugly. Ugly didn't cover it. By sunrise, the story was everywhere. Local teacher shoots son-in-law during home invasion. News vans parked outside my house. Reporters shoved microphones at my neighbors. Some defended me. Others shook their heads, saying I'd snapped. When I pulled into the school parking lot, conversations stopped mid-sentence. Parents stared. Teachers avoided my eyes. One mother confronted me outright. How can the district let you keep teaching after what you did? I met her glare with all the strength I could muster. I defended myself. I defended my home. But inside, shame burned deep. Not because I'd pulled the trigger, I didn't regret that. I burned because Jamal had turned my survival into spectacle. And I knew he wasn't done. That night, the phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. His voice crawled through the line. You got lucky. He chuckled darkly. Bullet only grazed me. Took a little meat, but nothing I can't handle. You didn't finish the job, Janice. You weak. I said nothing, clutching the receiver tight. You know what's funny? His tone turned mocking. Now the whole city sees you for what you are, unstable, violent. A menace with a gun. You think the court's gonna side with you when it comes to custody? My stomach dropped. Leave those kids out of this. He laughed. Those are my kids. And after this little show, I got a strong case to prove you unfit. Dangerous. Ain't safe for children. The line went dead. I stood frozen, my heart pounding, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. He was going after Malik and Kayla. The next morning, I marched to the jail. Tasha looked smaller than I remembered, thin, her hair messy, her eyes swollen from crying. "Mama," she whispered, rushing to the bars. I cut her off. "He's filing for custody." Her lips trembled. "He wouldn't." "He would. He already told me." She broke then, tears spilling down her face. "Please, Mama, don't let him take my babies. You need to help me stop him." My voice was sharp, steady. "Tell the truth. Tell the court about the fraud, the threats, the break-in. Back me up, Tasha." She shook her head frantically. "If I talk, he'll kill me. If you don't, he'll take your kids." For a moment, I thought she'd choose right. I saw the old Tasha, my girl, the fighter I raised. But the fear in her eyes smothered it. "I can't," she whispered, turning away. Her rejection cut deeper than the glass that still littered my floor. I left the jail burning with rage. If Tasha wouldn't fight for her babies, then I would. Alone if I had to. I spent days gathering everything. Texts, photos, credit records, Jamal's fake businesses, his shell accounts. I hired a lawyer, draining my savings. My case grew stronger by the day. But Jamal was always 2 steps ahead. The first hit came on a Tuesday morning. I woke to the sound of voices outside. When I peeked through the blinds, my heart dropped. Reporters. Microphones. Cameras. Vans lined up down the block. At the center of it all stood Jamal, arm in a sling, his voice carrying across my lawn like poison. "She tried to kill me," he said, eyes full of fake pain. "This woman is unstable. Dangerous. She's been harassing me and my wife for months. And now she wants to take my kids away. My innocent kids." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Pens scribbled. Cameras clicked. And then, God help me, he looked straight up at my window. And smiled. The same grin he'd worn in my kitchen when the gun was between us. That night, the news replayed his speech on every channel. Talk shows debated whether I was a hero or a menace. Parents at school signed a petition demanding my suspension. And just before midnight, another envelope slid under my door. No words inside this time. Just a new photograph. Malik and Kayla, sitting in the back seat of Jamal's car, their little faces pressed to the window. Across the picture, in red ink. "Next time, I'll take them for good." The courthouse smelled like old wood and nerves. The ceilings stretched high, the fluorescent lights buzzing faintly, but it was the weight of all those eyes that pressed down on me as I walked through the double doors. Reporters swarmed the steps outside, their flashes popping like fireworks. I had ducked past them with my lawyer, but still, their voices followed me. "Janice, do you regret shooting him? Is it true you're unstable? Are you trying to steal your grandchildren?" Each question cut, but I kept walking, chin high, heels clicking against the marble. I refused to let Jamal see me crumble. Inside the courtroom, though, my stomach flipped. He was already there, sitting at the petitioner's table like a king on his throne. Sling on his arm, bandage peeking from under his shirt, his face pale but composed. The performance was perfect. He looked like the victim. Beside him, his lawyer whispered something that made Jamal chuckle. Then he turned, slow as syrup, and caught my eye. That grin again. I sat down, clenching my fists so hard my nails bit my palms. "Don't rise to it," my attorney, Ms. Carter, murmured. She was sharp, mid-40s, with a voice that sliced clean. "Let him look smug. We'll bury him in facts." But facts, I was learning, didn't always matter in family court. The judge, a stern black woman named Judge Morrison, opened the session. "We are here today on the matter of custody of the minors Malik and Kayla." My heart skipped at their names. Jamal's lawyer stood first, pacing smooth as silk. "Your Honor, my client seeks full custody. The children's mother is currently incarcerated, awaiting trial. Their grandmother," he gestured toward me like I was a roach under glass, "is unfit." She brandished a firearm and discharged it at my client. The same client who, despite his injuries, continues to provide for his children and maintain a safe environment. I wanted to scream. Safe environment? Fraud, abuse, manipulation. That was Jamal's world. But the lawyer kept spinning the tale, painting Jamal as the devoted father, the victim of a vengeful, unstable woman. When it was Miss Carter's turn, she rose like steel. Your Honor, my client acted in self-defense after the petitioner broke into her home. Police reports confirm forced entry, and medical records confirm the petitioner was treated for a gunshot wound consistent with close-range defense. Furthermore, we have documented evidence of financial fraud committed by the petitioner, as well as threatening communications sent to my client. She slid folders across the bench. Judge Morrison thumbed through them, her face unreadable. Jamal's jaw tightened, but he didn't break character. He sat there, shoulders squared, as though the truth couldn't touch him. Then he raised his good hand. Your Honor, may I speak? The judge hesitated, then nodded. Briefly. He stood, his voice dripping with false sincerity. I admit I made mistakes. But I'm trying to change. I love my children. They are my world. And I will not stand by while they are ripped away by someone who has already proven she's capable of violence. He looked at me, eyes wet as if tears might fall. She shot me, Your Honor. If she'll shoot me, who's to say she won't hurt the kids? Gasps rippled from the gallery. My throat locked. Lies. Every word. But they landed heavy in the room. During recess, I sat on a hard bench, head in my hands. Miss Carter rubbed her temples. He's good, she muttered. Too good. If we don't break him, the judge may side with him just on optics. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. How's court going, Mama Janice? My blood froze. Only one person called me that. I turned, scanning the hallway. No Jamal. But I knew. He was watching, even here. I shoved the phone away before Miss Carter saw. The second half of the hearing cut deeper. Jamal's lawyer called a witness, Mrs. Green, a neighbor from 3 houses down. She shuffled to the stand, wringing her hands. I've lived on the block 20 years, she said. I seen Janice with them kids. She's strict. Always yelling. Sometimes I wonder if she's too hard on em. My mouth dropped. Mrs. Green? The same woman I'd given casseroles to after her surgery? The same neighbor I'd driven to the hospital? Then it clicked. Jamal had gotten to her. Promises, money, something. Betrayal burned hot in my chest. When the judge finally adjourned for the day, the custody ruling still hung in limbo. She wanted more documentation. More time. Which meant Jamal had more time to twist the knife. Outside, cameras swarmed. Jamal played the role of devoted father again, holding up a framed photo of Malik and Kayla. I'm just fighting for my kids, he said, voice cracking like it hurt. That's all this is. Then, as I tried to slip to my car, he brushed past close enough for only me to hear. You're losing, Janice. And when I get those kids, you'll never see them again. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak of the house sent me reaching for the revolver I tucked back into the drawer. My chest ached with fury and fear. At 2 a.m., I found myself staring at the envelope on the kitchen table, the one filled with the deepest proof of Jamal's corruption. Bank accounts, shell companies, names of women he'd cheated with, scams that went back years. But there was something else in there too. Something I hadn't shown even Miss Carter yet. A video. I'd found it on a thumb drive hidden in Tosha's old closet. Jamal's voice filled the recording, slurred with liquor, laughing with another man. Yeah, I beat her sometimes. What she gon' do? She need me. Without me she's nothing. Then a pause. Kids? Man, those ain't even mine. You know that, right? But they think they are. Let her raise some other dude's babies, I don't care. As long as the checks keep coming. My hands shook as I replayed it. The kids weren't his? If I showed this, it could destroy him in court. Maybe even free Tosha. But it could also shatter Malik and Kayla's world. And if Jamal realized I had it, he wouldn't just fight dirty, he'd fight to kill. I sat there, the glow of the laptop painting my face, the revolver cold against my thigh, the sound of Jamal's mocking laughter looping in my ears. I had the weapon to end him, not with bullets, but with truth. But was I willing to risk everything to use it? The video haunted me. Jamal's drunken voice, his ugly laughter, his confession that Malik and Kayla weren't his children. I played it over and over until the words etched themselves into my skull. Yeah, I beat her sometimes. Kids? Man, those ain't even mine. I could use it to destroy him, to expose the fraud and lies. But one question burned hotter than the rest. If the kids weren't his, then whose were they? The next morning, I slid the thumb drive across Ms. Carter's desk. Her eyebrows lifted as she plugged it into her laptop. We sat in silence, listening to Jamal brag about the abuse, the lies, the money. When it ended, Carter leaned back, her face pale but her eyes blazing. This, she said, is dynamite. It'll be enough? My voice cracked. Enough to tear his case apart. If the judge sees this, she won't just deny him custody, she'll move to investigate him. Maybe even criminal charges for fraud and abuse. Relief swelled in my chest, but Carter's next words pierced it. But we have to be careful. If he catches wind that we have this recording, he'll burn everything to the ground before we can use it. I nodded. Careful. Silent. Strategic. But patience had never been my strong suit. That night, I made the mistake. I couldn't stop myself from calling Tasha. Her voice was tired, muffled through the jail phone. Mama. I have proof, I whispered fiercely. Proof he's a liar. Proof he's not even their father. You can walk out of there free, baby. A pause. Then a soft sob. Not their father. No. I got him on tape admitting it. You hear me? We're gonna end this. But instead of relief, Tasha went quiet. Dead quiet. Finally she said, Mama, don't show that tape. Please. Why not? I demanded. It's the only way. Because if he's not their father, her voice cracked, then people will know who is. The line clicked dead. I sat frozen, phone pressed to my ear, the silence thick as tar. She knew. She knew who the real father was. And she was protecting him. The next day, chaos erupted. I hadn't released the video, not yet. But somehow, Jamal knew. When I stepped outside, there was another envelope on my doorstep. Inside, a single printed screenshot of the video file. Across it, scrolled in red ink. Asterisk, you think you smart. You play that, you die. Asterisk. My knees buckled. He knew. By noon, the attack came. The school board suspended me. Pending investigation into your violent behavior, the letter read. Parents had circulated petitions. Someone, probably Jamal, had leaked my address and phone number online. My inbox flooded with hate. Asterisk gun granny. Psycho. Baby snatcher. Asterisk. And then the final blow. Malik and Kayla's social worker called. Miss Daniels, due to new concerns regarding your stability, the children are being placed in temporary foster care until the court resolves custody. I dropped the phone. My babies. Taken. Jamal had turned the system against me. That night, I paced the kitchen, revolver on the table, the envelope of evidence spread beside it. I could barely breathe, the house too quiet without the kids' laughter. Then my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. A video this time. I pressed play, and bile rose in my throat. It was Malik crying. Kayla clinging to his side. Jamal's voice behind the camera, soft, coaxing. Tell Grandma you don't want to live with her no more. Tell her she's scary. Tell her she dangerous. No. Malik sobbed. Kayla shook her head. Jamal's voice hardened. Say it or no dinner. The video cut off. I collapsed into a chair, the revolver staring back at me. For the first time, I thought about ending it. Not my fight but me. One pull of the trigger, and the pain would stop. But then I heard Kayla's little voice echo in my memory. Grandma, don't leave us. And I knew I couldn't. The next morning, Carter called. We have to move fast. The judge advanced the custody hearing. Tomorrow. Tomorrow. My head spun. He's pulling strings. But we have the video. If we play it, it's over for him. I hesitated. Tasha's warning echoed in my ears. People will know who is. But hadn't Jamal already taken enough? If Tasha's shame meant my grandbabies were safe, then so be it. I steeled myself. Play it. Court the next day was a circus. Jamal strutted in, sling gone now, his arm miraculously healed. He smirked at me across the aisle. Judge Morrison entered, and the hearing began. Carter stood tall. Your Honor, we submit new evidence, a recording of the petitioner admitting to abuse, fraud, and paternity misrepresentation. Gasps filled the courtroom as she slid the thumb drive to the clerk. Jamal froze, color draining from his face. The judge pressed play. His voice filled the room, loud and undeniable. Yeah, I beat her sometimes. Kids? Man, those ain't even mine. The gallery erupted. Reporters scribbled. The judge banged her gavel. I looked at Jamal. For the first time, the grin was gone. But before I could taste victory, another voice cut through the chaos. Mama, stop. I spun around. It was Tasha. Shackled, escorted in by deputies, but standing tall, tears streaming. Don't play no more, she begged. Don't do this. The courtroom fell silent. Judge Morrison frowned. Miss Daniels, do you wish to testify? Tasha nodded, trembling. And then the truth spilled out. The kids. Malik and Kayla. They ain't Jamal's. But they ain't strangers either. Her voice cracked. They belong to. Her eyes darted to the gallery. And there, standing in the back, was my own brother Harold. My heart stopped. Gasps erupted. Jamal's laugh rang out like a gunshot. Oh, this just got good. I clutched the table to keep from collapsing. Harold. My brother. The real father. Betrayal cut so deep I could hardly breathe. Judge Morrison slammed the gavel again. Order in the court. We will recess until I can review this new information. But the damage was done. Reporters exploded out of the room, cameras flashing. Jamal leaned across the aisle, whispering just loud enough for me to hear. You tried to kill me with that tape. But you just killed yourself instead. He winked. And for the first time in this entire war, I felt like he might be right. The courtroom emptied like a floodgate opening, reporters rushing into the hall, voices echoing, questions ricocheting off marble walls. But I couldn't move. I sat frozen, staring at Harold. My brother. The man who had grown up eating cornbread at the same kitchen table, who Mama whipped when he stole change from Daddy's pockets, who carried me piggyback down Montgomery Street when I twisted my ankle in 7th grade. My brother. The father of my grandchildren. I whispered his name, the words scraping out like broken glass. Harold. He dropped his eyes to the floor, shame washing across his face, but shame didn't change what he'd done. Tasha sobbed, hands trembling against the shackles. Mama, I didn't want you to find out like this. The deputies led her away before I could speak. My throat locked, the words stuck in grief and fury. Jamal, of course, reveled in it. He leaned back in his chair, laughing, shaking his head like the whole trial had just turned into his personal comedy show. You can't make this stuff up, he chuckled to his lawyer. Whole family rotten to the core. I wanted to strangle him with my bare hands. But worse than Jamal's gloating was Harold's silence. He didn't even try to explain. That night, Harold showed up at my house. I didn't answer the door. I didn't trust myself not to grab the revolver and do something I couldn't undo. But he kept knocking. Persistent. Like he had a right. Finally, I yanked the door open. Go home, Harold. Janice, please, he said, hands raised. His voice was hoarse, his face lined with regret. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I laughed, bitter and sharp. Didn't mean for it to go this far? You slept with my daughter. You got her pregnant. Twice. And you let me raise those babies thinking Jamal was their father. And now you stand here telling me you didn't mean for it. He flinched, shame darkening his features. It started when she was grown, Janice. I swear. I ain't no monster. Don't you dare try to soften this. I snapped, tears burning hot. She was vulnerable, Harold. She was broken down, and you were supposed to protect her. Not use her. His eyes welled, but I saw no tears fall. I loved her. The words hit me like a slap. I slammed the door in his face so hard the frame rattled. And I sank to the floor, sobbing. The next few days blurred together in a fog of anger and despair. The news ran the story non-stop. Teacher's family secret explodes in custody battle. Grandmother shoots son-in-law, brother exposed as father of children. Parents at school demanded my firing. Friends I thought I had stopped calling. Even church folk crossed the street to avoid me. Jamal didn't need to lift a finger. The scandal was destroying me all on its own. But of course, he couldn't resist adding gasoline to the fire. On the third day, he held a press conference. Cameras lined the courthouse steps, microphones shoved into his face. He stood there, bandage gone, clean suit pressed, the picture of a man rising from tragedy. I never wanted this ugliness to come out, he said, voice heavy with fake sorrow. All I wanted was to protect my kids. But now we see the truth. They come from sin, from betrayal inside their own family. And my so-called mother-in-law tried to cover it up with lies, violence, even attempted murder. He let that sink in, then added, I'm asking the court not only for custody but for protection. Those children need stability, safety, and I'm the only parent they've ever known. Blood don't matter. Love does. The crowd ate it up. Applause even broke out. At home, I threw a glass at the TV. It shattered against the wall, spraying shards across the carpet. Blood don't matter. Love does. If he meant those words, he wouldn't be using the children like pawns in his sick game. But Jamal's love was only for himself. Tasha called me from jail that night. Mama, she whispered, voice ragged. I'm sorry. Sorry. I snapped. Sorry don't fix nothing, Tasha. You let this happen. You let him raise those kids while your own uncle was their father. Do you know what you've done to this family? To me. She sobbed. I was young. I was stupid. I was scared. I thought Harold loved me, and when I got pregnant, I didn't know what else to do. Jamal offered to take responsibility, and I let him. I let him because I didn't think I was strong enough to tell the truth. Her words cut, but beneath the anger, I heard the same broken girl I'd raised. Mama, she begged. Don't let Jamal take my babies. No matter what I did, please, don't let him have them. The line went dead before I could answer. The next hearing was worse than the last. Jamal strutted in like a hero, his lawyer armed with the headlines, the scandal, the shame. Miss Carter fought hard, playing the video again, reminding the court of his abuse and fraud. But it didn't matter. The judge's eyes kept drifting back to me, to Harold sitting stiff in the back row, to Tasha shackled and weeping. The corruption in my family painted me guilty by association. Jamal leaned close across the aisle as the judge recessed. His breath was hot, his words poison. You're finished, Janice. Ain't no judge giving kids to a family this dirty. You should have kept that tape buried. I glared, but inside my resolve cracked. He might be right. That night, Harold returned. This time, I let him in. We sat at the kitchen table, the revolver between us like a silent witness. I need to know why, I said. Tell me the truth. He stared at the gun, then at me. I was lonely, Janice. After Angela left me, I was empty. Tasha was there. She listened. She cared. It was wrong, I know it was wrong, but I loved her in a way I couldn't stop. I shook my head. You call that love? Love don't destroy a girl's life. Love don't tear a family apart. His eyes hardened. And what about you? You pulled that trigger on Jamal. You think that don't tear nothing apart? We all sinners, Janice. You just hide yours better. The words stung, but I held my ground. Difference is, I did what I had to do to protect my family. You did what you wanted. And now we're paying the price. He dropped his gaze. I'll do whatever it takes to fix this. Even if it means telling the judge I'll step up for those kids. My blood turned cold. Step up? Harold, you can't. If you do, they'll take them from me forever. He didn't answer. But the silence told me everything. 2 nights later, The knock came at midnight. I crept to the door, revolver in hand, heart pounding. When I opened it, no one stood there, just an envelope on the mat. Inside was a single photo. Malik and Kayla asleep in their foster home beds. And on the back, Jamal's handwriting in red ink. Tomorrow, they'll wake up in my house. You can't stop it. I dropped to my knees, the photo clutched tight. The morning of the final hearing dawned gray and heavy, the kind of sky that pressed low like it carried the weight of secrets. I barely slept. The photo Jamal left me burned in my mind. Malik curled tight under a Spider-Man blanket, Kayla's little hand clutching her doll. They looked safe, but Jamal's handwriting turned that safety into a threat. He was going to win today. Or at least, that's what he believed. I pulled the revolver from the drawer, ran my thumb across the cool metal. The weapon had always been my last line of defense, but this time it felt like destiny. If the court failed those children, if Jamal walked out with them under his arm like trophies, I knew I couldn't let it stand. I wasn't just their grandmother. I was the only line between them and destruction. The courthouse was buzzing by the time I arrived. Reporters lined the steps, their cameras flashing like lightning. Shouts followed me. Janice, any comment on the scandal? Do you admit Harold fathered your grandkids? Are you fit to raise them after shooting your son-in-law? I kept my head down, clutching my purse tight where the revolver rested inside. Every step felt heavier than the last. Inside, the courtroom brimmed with tension. Jamal sat at his table, smug as a king ready to be crowned. His lawyer whispered in his ear, handing him papers. Harold sat behind me, shoulders hunched, eyes bloodshot. He hadn't spoken to me since our kitchen table confrontation. And then the deputies brought Tasha in. Shackled. Pale. But her eyes locked on mine, desperate. Don't let him take them, she mouthed. The words lit a fire in me. Judge Reynolds entered, stern as ever, his robe flowing like a shadow. This court convenes today to finalize custody of Malik and Kayla Richards, he announced. Jamal's lawyer rose, his voice smooth as silk. Your Honor, the facts are clear. My client has raised these children since birth. He provided for them, clothed them, educated them. DNA may cast doubt on bloodlines, but not on devotion. Meanwhile, the maternal family is steeped in scandal, criminal charges, incestuous revelations, and violence. These children deserve safety. They deserve my client. Jamal nodded, his smirk slicing across the room. Ms. Carter stood, her tone steel. Your Honor, devotion does not erase abuse. We have video evidence of Mr. Richards assaulting his wife, threatening her life. We have proof of financial fraud, funds stolen under his care. This man doesn't love these children. He wants them to control, to use as leverage against their mother and grandmother. To give him custody is to place them in the arms of their tormentor. The judge leaned back, hands steepled. He looked tired, worn down by the weight of scandal. And I saw it then, the hesitation in his eyes. The kind that meant the scales were tipping, not toward justice, but toward expedience. Toward Jamal. Jamal rose before the judge could speak, his voice dripping with false sincerity. Your Honor, may I? The judge nodded. Jamal turned, addressing the courtroom like a preacher on Sunday morning. Look at me. Look at my children. They are mine in every way that counts. Yes, mistakes were made in this family. But I was there. I was the father figure. I was the one who sacrificed. And now? Now they want to take those kids from me, because of secrets they hid, lies they told. But I won't let it happen. Because blood don't matter, he paused, his eyes locking on me, cruel and triumphant. Love does. Applause erupted in the gallery. The reporters scribbled like mad. The judge banged his gavel for silence, but the damage was done. I felt the walls close in. If he walked out of here with them, I knew I'd never see my grandbabies again. I stood. My hands trembled as I reached into my purse. The revolver was heavy, final. Your Honor, I said, voice shaking but loud. May I speak? The judge hesitated, then nodded. I stepped forward, my eyes locked on Jamal. You talk about love, Jamal. But love don't break bones. Love don't steal money meant for diapers and food. Love don't choke the life out of a woman while her babies watch from the stairs. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. You think you're their father? A father protects. A father sacrifices. You are no father, Jamal. You're a curse. My hand slipped into the purse, fingers curling around the revolver. But before I could draw it, Harold jumped up. Janice, don't! He shouted. The room erupted, deputies rushing forward, the judge slamming his gavel. And in the chaos, Jamal smirked at me, whispering just loud enough for me to hear. You ain't got the guts this time. Something inside me broke. I yanked the revolver free, leveling it at his chest. Screams filled the room. People dove under benches, papers scattered. The deputies froze, unsure whether to move or wait. Janice! Harold shouted. Think about the kids. But all I could see was Jamal's smug grin, the years of torment, the bruises on my daughter's skin, the fear in Malik's eyes when Jamal raised his voice. You took enough from this family, I said, voice steady now. No more. My finger tightened on the trigger. Wait. It was Tasha. She stood, shackles clanking, tears streaming. Mama, please. If you shoot him here, you'll lose everything. They'll lock you up forever, and he'll win. He'll win because you won't be there to fight. Her words struck like lightning. I saw Malik smile, Kayla's laugh. I saw the future, me behind bars, Jamal walking free. Slowly, with shaking hands, I lowered the gun. The deputies surged forward, ripping it from my grip, pinning me down. The crowd roared, reporters screaming questions. But through it all, I held my head high. Because I saw the look on the judge's face. Not anger. Not pity. Conviction. When order returned, Judge Reynolds leaned forward, his gavel trembling in his hand. This court has seen enough, he said, voice booming. Mr. Richards, you speak of love, but what I have witnessed is manipulation, cruelty, and arrogance. Ms. Williams, though your actions today were reckless, your motives were clear. These children are not pawns in your war. They are human beings deserving of safety. He paused, the silence electric. Custody will not be granted to Mr. Richards. Malik and Kayla will remain under protective guardianship until their mother's case is resolved. This court will ensure their care, free from further exploitation. Jamal shot to his feet. This is a joke. You can't do this. They're mine. The deputies restrained him as he raged, spitting curses, his mask finally stripped away for all to see. I sank into my chair, tears spilling, relief washing over me like a flood. For the first time in years, Jamal had lost. Outside, reporters swarmed me, cameras blinding. Janice, are you satisfied with the ruling? Do you regret pulling a gun in court? What happens next for your family? I pushed through them, silent. Harold caught up, his hand on my shoulder. We still got work to do, he said quietly. Them kids need us more than ever. I looked at him, torn between anger and blood. One step at a time. And then Tasha was there, reaching for me through the deputies guiding her back to jail. Mama, she whispered, voice cracked but strong. Thank you. I squeezed her hand until they pulled her away. That night, I sat alone in my kitchen, revolver locked away for good. The house was quiet, but my heart wasn't. Jamal was defeated, for now. But evil like his didn't vanish overnight. I knew he'd try again. Still, for the first time in years, I felt something I thought I'd lost forever. Hope. My love. Did you like my story? And which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you like the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story.